Hulk Hogan has claimed that he had the chance to share the ring for his retirement match against John Cena and detailed when this supposed thing was supposed to happen. And in this video, I'm going to break it down. Look, Hulk Hogan is a storyteller. I've done a previous video looking at some of his biggest lies, essentially, or stories. I will link that down in the description below or the commentary below. But while speaking with Chris Van Vliet, Hogan shared that there was actually plans for him to wrestle a top WWE star in 2008 to 2009 for his retirement match, because Hogan technically has had his retirement match, and it was in TNA, and I believe it was at a house show over in the UK years ago in the early 2010s. And Hulk Hogan is obviously a top name. He's one of the biggest names in the history of the wrestling business. He's on Mount Rushmore. He's done it all. He's made more money than God. Like, he's done it all. He's Hulk Hogan, man. But unfortunately, Hogan has this tendency of just going off and just telling these stories that make no sense or are completely inaccurate. Like partying with John Belushi, even though he set a date that was once after Belushi died, right? He talked about how he didn't know that Hogan was going to let him slam him or not. Even in this video, he talked about WrestleMania 39 plans and changed his story a few different times during it. And then it was debunked by Fightful Select. Then he told a story about how he worked a match with Andre the Giant in a concrete ring in Baltimore. No, not figuratively, literally. Like, that doesn't make any sense. So anyways, Hogan, he revealed that he was supposed to have a WrestleMania 25 retirement match or WrestleMania 24 against John Cena. This is what he had to say. Vince McMahon had all hooked up with Cena, and I said, and see, this is where it doesn't even make sense. Vince McMahon had me all hooked up with Cena, and I said I'd do it. Vince and I were talking every week, and we were putting together the plans to, like the old days where I was in the office every day, and I were talking every day. And all of a sudden, I'm on the phone with Vince. I was like, oh my God, my back went out. When I was talking to Vince on the phone, I had just had back surgery number 3 or 4 at the time, and I had to go right in immediately to get cut up. So that was it. But I thought it was going to be on my last match, and then, never happened, and then just kind of faded away, which is interesting. I've actually heard this story before. There's a few different problems with this story. Number one, your back goes out when you're on the phone. That's interesting. And all of a sudden, then the plans are just completely nixed and they're never brought up again or never talked about, right? That's weird. Then he talks about how back in the day, so think about this, when he was working, over 200 days a year, he was in the office every day. I don't believe that. He lives in Florida. WB headquarters is in Stamford, Connecticut. I don't believe that. I don't think they ever plan to do Hogan versus Cena. It's one of the biggest dream matches of all time. That's never going to happen. It's Steve Austin, Hulk Hogan in a singles match. I understand they worked a tag team match on a Monday Night Raw event in, I believe, 2002, 2003. But it's just Hogan, man. And this is what Hogan does. And he's a great, great storyteller. But I don't buy this. I don't buy it. Unless WB or John Cena. Like, that's a great, great question to ask John Cena. Right? He does all these interviews. And most of the time he's asked the same questions over and over and over. Why'd you not turn heel? Right? They never ask him, why'd you not push back on destroying the Nexus at SummerSlam? Here's one. So why didn't you wrestle Hulk Hogan in his retirement match? Why'd you not do that, bud? Just saying, it's an interesting question, y'all. It's a very interesting question. Let me know down in the commentary below. Do you believe Hulk Hogan? Do you think he's telling the truth or not? Because I'm simply not buying it. But go out of your way, check out this interview. Chris Van Vliet, Hulk Hogan telling Hulk Hogan stories. It's always comical. It's always fun. And it's always a worth listen. Right? It's always worth the listen.